now I'm going to be pointing to those, particularly those words, and I'm going to return to me, and I will return to you. A 50p piece. There's a 50p piece. Is it not? Is that a 50p piece? Those of you close? Real? I think so. A 50p piece met a £5 note in a person's wallet. A 50p piece met a £5 note in a person's wallet. And the 50p piece said to the £5 note, "Hey, where have you been? I haven't seen you around here much lately." And the £5 note replied, "Well, I have been everywhere. I've been hanging out at the post office. I've done the lottery a few times. I've had a pint at the New Inn. I've been to Grayling's. I've been shopping in Exeter. I've been on holiday. I've been through the washing machine at least twice. You know, that kind of stuff. How about you? Where have you been?" Well, the 50p piece sighed and said, "Oh, you know, same old stuff. Church, then raffle, then church, then raffle, then raffle, then church, then church, then raffle." There you go. Oh, I just dropped it. There we are. First of all, can I just say, for those of you who are here for the first time or visiting us today, then you're really great to have you. You're really welcome. But my guess is that you're probably not regular givers to St. Peter's Church. Yet, that is. Yet. But to those of you who have been coming, whether it's for a month or whether it's, I don't know, 20, 30 years or whatever it might be, can I just say a huge thank you to you who are regular givers to St. Peter's Church, North Taunton. It's really great that you do that. Thank you so much. Every pound that you give, every £5 or 50p or whatever it might be, goes to the work of the gospel here at St. Peter's in this town. Before anything else we look at today, and when we come to Malachi in a moment, thank you for what you do. Whether you give by standing order, as lots of you do, whether you give by one-off donation, maybe just you've only ever given once or twice, maybe you give regularly with the envelope scheme, there's still a few people that do that, or maybe you put cash in the collection at the back, or when we collect it sometimes in services. Whichever way you give, thank you to those of you who do. No matter how long you've been giving as well, whether it's many, many decades, or whether it's just in the last couple of years, or indeed the last few weeks. Thank you to you no matter how much you give as well, whether it's 50p, or whether it's £5 notes. Oh, we seem to have lost the screen for some reason. Okay, we'll come back in a minute, never mind. Thank you so much. Your partnership in the gospel is hugely appreciated. Thank you. Your giving is only, of course, one part of your partnership in the gospel, but it's a really important part, as our reading demonstrates that we had this just a moment ago that Joe read for us. I hope you can see that it is an integral part of your partnership. But it's something that needs regular review and regular consideration. And so, well, as I said at the beginning of the services, beginning of our service this morning, alongside our harvest services over this next month or so in our group of churches, we're going to consider this matter of giving. We're going to be doing it in Bondley and Honeychurch and Sanford Courtney as well. Giving for the gospel, I'm going to call it, or I am calling it, giving for the gospel. And it's been at least 2 years since we've done this in our services, that we've looked full square at this issue of giving. And I think it's high time we did, actually, because actually our giving to St. Peter's has dropped in the last year. Our regular giving has dropped, and so it's high time we looked at it. Now, one of the reasons why our giving may have dropped to St. Peter's in the last year is that you may have heard that there is a robber on the loose. Yes, boys and girls in particular, you need to be just listening at this moment. There is a robber on the loose. He likes, and I assume it's a he, but it might be a she possibly, likes to steal things. Particularly likes to steal people's generosity. So boys and girls, oh, hang on a moment. Is there a robber? Can we see a robber? Is there a robber lurking anywhere? Boys and girls, can we see if we can catch this particular robber? Oh, we've got some very willing police officers here who are delighted to catch their sister, the robber. Oh, she's a very pretty looking robber. Anyway, well done, security forces. You look pretty scary with your truncheon, binoculars. and all the rest of it. Didn't take a lot of practice, that, this morning. We have a robber here. What have you got in your swag bag? Oh, we'll have to have a look at that in a moment. Okay, well, you just stay there. I don't really trust you, but if you just stay there, that would be great. Now, the prophet Malachi said to his people, he said to return to me and I will return to you. Because the people of Malachi's day, they had been turning away from God. Why? Well, because they'd grown tired of God. They got bored of him. They were disappointed in him. And we thought about this about 18 months ago. They were beginning to think that actually God didn't bless his people any longer. Malachi's day was about 500 years before Jesus came. And the people are back in God's land after they'd been away in exile for many years. They were back and they were thinking this was going to be boom time for God's people again. But actually, they were still a small and ruined nation. The good times had not returned, and so they had grown tired and cynical. God longs that they would return to him, but they say to God, well, how are we to return? How are we to come back? They are tired and they are a cynical and disappointed people. You have been robbing me, says God. You have been robbing me. Now, we've caught our robber this morning. I thought she might try and run away, but actually she's quite an obedient robber, actually, which is remarkable. We've caught our robber, but of course robbers are never usually quite this obvious, are they? I mean, if they were all dressed like that, when we find them, wouldn't we? Have you been to Blenheim Palace recently? Should we see what's in her bag? Is there a gold toilet in here? Isn't that extraordinary story? If you wonder what on earth I'm talking about, then you clearly don't read the news. But anyway, so there is not a gold toilet in here, but oh my goodness, what have we got in here? Livy, come out here. Can you take out what's in the swag bag? Oh my goodness. You got in the church safe and you stole that. Paul, we've got it. Church warden. Rona. Yeah. Did you leave the safe open again? Rona's been in Belgium. Blenheim? Close. Wow, my goodness me. I'm glad we got that back. That's got to be worth at least a £5. No, a lot more than that. Okay, what else have we got in here? Oh my goodness, the music cupboard as well. Microphones, that is a lot of money, that microphone. Can you hold on to that for me, please? Thank you very much, that's great. And also, some of actually the collection bags are empty. So have you pocketed it already? And the rest of it is just padding, isn't it? Well, anyway, there, you can have those back. There's nothing in the collection bags. Now, robbers, if only... robbers are never usually that obvious, are they? You know, dressed in stripy clothing with a silly hat and whatever. Of course they're not. Robbers usually try and blend in. I have to say I'm not a very good robber because I don't think I've ever actually tried it. But I think that probably if you're going to be a good robber, you want to try and blend in with the crowd, wouldn't you? A good robber blends in. Now, God mentioned robbers in what he said to the people through the prophet Malachi. He says, you have been robbing me. And the people respond to God by saying, well, how have we robbed you? How? They are such good robbers, they don't even know that they are robbers. They've blended in so much with the people around them, they haven't even realized that they're robbing God. How do you rob me? And he accuses them of being pickpockets. They haven't even realized that they have done it. They have robbed God by not giving generously. That's how they've robbed him. He says to them, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty. See, they have been giving half-heartedly. That's how they've been robbing God. They have been robbing themselves of their own generosity, and they haven't been giving in the way they should. Now, over here, we've got some lovely cakes. Who made these cakes? Oh, the robber made these cakes. Actually, it's a very generous robber you are. The robber and the robber's younger sister made these cakes. How many cakes are on there? 10, few. I got worried for a moment. There are 10 cakes. Thank you, Livy. That's wonderful. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Brilliant. Thank you. We have 10 cakes on this tray here. Okay. Now, a tithe means 10. A tenth. It means 10. So what God is saying to his people here is that you should give me a tenth. Bring the whole tenth of what you have into the storehouse. That there might be food in my house, he says. Now, if I said, if I were to offer you a slice of cake, but it was only the most tiniest slither of the whole cake, you would think, hang on a moment, I mean, that's just robbery, isn't it? I mean, only a slither when there's the whole cake? Actually, you'd be feel pretty hard done by, wouldn't you? How would you feel? I think you would feel pretty rubbish, wouldn't you? Especially, actually, if you'd made the cake and you'd given the cake to me, and I only then offered you a slither of it. What God is saying here is that we need to bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, a tenth, which actually, when you look at it, it's not actually very much, is it? It's only 1/10 of a plate full of 10 cakes. It's only one cake, isn't it? It's not actually very much. Maybe we have been robbing God. Maybe we have not been given as generously as we should. Now, I don't think the Bible prescribes that we should all give exactly a tenth. You can actually give a lot more than that if you want to. I don't think we need to be legalistic about it. But it is a very, very good guideline, isn't it? And when he says here that we should bring the whole tithe, everything that we commit to giving, we should bring in to the storehouse. We should give generously. Well, then I think we need to heed that warning, don't we? And myself included. It's only one cake of 10 cakes. Lest that we be accused that we might be the robber. Lest that we might be the person robbing God. Can we give our robber a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much. We'll have that back. You can have the cakes over there. Let's put those down there for a moment. Thank you. You see, God sees our half-hearted generosity as obviously as we saw Emily the robber. It's like we're dressed in a stripy top, a balaclava, and we're carrying a swag bag. If we're not a generous people, individually and collectively, then it's as though we are the comedy robber. It's obvious to spot us, and God sees us exactly like that. So over these next couple of weeks, before we get to our harvest services, either side of the other harvest services, we're going to think a little bit more extensively and precisely about what God says about how we might be a generous people. From the youngest here, from pocket money through to inheritance, all the way through, how we might be a generous people individually and how might we be a generous church. Giving for the gospel means giving generously and not robbing God. Let's pray, and then we're going to conclude our service with a final song. Let's pray.